Hey, everybody. I'm very honored to have Elizabeth Wolfe here to talk about the future of what we're calling conversion marketing through artificial intelligence. Welcome to the show, Elizabeth. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I own Maddie's Digital Marketing, and I actually specialize in meta ads through Facebook and Instagram.
For those that don't know, what is conversion marketing and how does it differ from more traditional forms of marketing?
Sure. So, I've been around for a lot of different marketing trends, and even whenever I started prior to having my own business, I worked with a company who did a lot of traditional marketing. So there's the billboards and the magazines and the direct mailers that show up in people's mailboxes, and of course pay per click Google, that started coming around in the 90s. And so I've seen a lot of different marketing trends, and actually, what got me into meta ads itself was working for this other company and watching how the marketing trends changed. And a lot of it was a lot of basic branding, getting in front of people on TV, being on the radio, showing up in their mailbox, things like that. And really, what you're just kind of shooting at the hip. Whenever you do that kind of marketing, you're hoping that your mailer shows up in the right mailbox at the right time. And with meta ads and all of their technology and AI, which actually started a long time ago, I feel like we're kind of in this day and age where people think that AI is new.
Mhm.
And, for people like you and I, we know that AI has been around for a long time.
Right.
So with AI, we have been able to go into what I call conversion marketing. So basically, what I help businesses do, businesses or even people, is get in front of the right audience at the right time. So we're no longer shooting from the hip. We're getting in front of the people that actually need their service or their product, instead of just hoping that we're ending up in a mailbox to somebody that might need a new roof if we're selling roofs. We get in front of the people that are actively searching for roofs and actively talking to their wife about needing a new roof.
Right. Well, I think it's also what I might say conversion marketing is it's very results driven. So if
Yes.
you go back to the more traditional forms of marketing, as you mentioned, if you're just sending out a bulk mailer or if you're running an ad in a newspaper, you're not taking advantage of big data. And it sounds like you're able to use numbers to determine who wants what based on their psychographic profile. And also you're able to measure impressions so that you can actually be sure that you're getting the results. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's 100% accurate. And, whenever you look at stats, whenever it comes to any kind of marketing, so if you ask a direct mailer, like, well, what is the average conversion rate for a direct mailer? It's going to be under 1%. And whenever you utilize data and all of the digital um, information that we have, and which is exactly what I tell people all the time, is that the marketing that I do is all based upon data, and it's a mathematical equation.
Right.
So somebody that's doing, mailer marketing, they can't give you any of that data. They can tell you that, oh, well, we get into, however many mailboxes, but they don't really have a way to track what the conversions are unless somebody tells them that. So what we do is we can go in and we can actually get up to a 13 times ROI, with a 13% conversion rate. And that is, like unheard of with any TV commercials, or, especially for e-commerce stores. And if you're selling something online, and I'm not, and I would never tell somebody that any kind of marketing is useless. If you can get in front of people for, the right cost, that's always going to be great, because it does take so many touch points psychologically for people to actually make the move, because you do still have to build trust and all of that. But the really great thing with conversion marketing and what we do with from the digital aspect is we're able to walk people through that funnel fairly quickly, instead of somebody having to see your face, 15, 17 times or whatever to consider using you. We can get them through the awareness, the consideration, and get them to at least reach out within, one or two ads.
What's interesting about this is I think that we're in a new era where previously the people that were doing marketing, if I look at shows like Mad Men, which you and I have talked about before, they had more what I would consider qualitative um, characteristics in terms of them being creatives, coming up with prints, print work, artwork, whatever it was, going off of hunches and their guts. But it seems like nowadays what you're doing is, as you mentioned, mathematical, it's quantitative, right? So you're using math to determine quantitatively if an ad is working, if it's reaching the right person. Would you say that that's an accurate way of the new sea change?
Yes, for 100%, because this is the wonderful thing too, is that whenever we're on the backside of ads and we're looking at all of that analytical data, it's like a lot of people will talk about click-through rate, like if your click-through rate is high, that, that means, this or that. But if the click-through rate is high and they're not spending enough time on your website, that actually means that the ad in itself is not, matching what people are seeing on your website. So that could be an audience problem, but it also could be a landing page problem, to where it's like, okay, well, we're reaching the right audience, but as soon as they get to your website, there's a disconnect and they're not staying long enough for them to even, get through that consideration phase that everybody goes through. And I think a lot of times whenever it comes to marketing, people think, oh, you just have to put an ad out now that people know about you and they're going to call you. What people don't take into consideration is that people are oversaturated in in any market. It doesn't matter what it is that we're talking about, especially whenever we were in 2020. I don't know the exact um, percentage, but so many small businesses started during that COVID era. People were laid off and, people were like, hey, we have to make something work. So a lot of small businesses popped up. So in that, you have to take into consideration that if you are a roofing company, that in your service area, there's probably 120 other roofing companies. How
Right,
are you going to stand out in that? It takes more than just getting in front of somebody and saying, hey, we do a roof. You
right.
have to walk them through that psychological funnel of marketing. And I think a lot of people, they leave that off of the table and they think, oh, the marketing isn't working because, we're getting in front of people, but they're not calling us. Well, why aren't they calling you? What does your offer look like? Because it takes a little bit of that too. And whenever I say offer, I'm not even talking about discounts, because I'm not a big fan of discount marketing. I think that it's a really fast way to the bottom of your marketing not working, because there's always going to be somebody that will come in and offer it cheaper, you know?
Let's go back to the psychology part. So, it sounds like you're using very sophisticated tools to put yourself in the shoes of your avatar. How are you able to do that and to think like they would in order to get that sale?
So, I mean, that's where Facebook AI comes in, right? Like I said earlier, I think that a lot of people are thinking that we're in this new era of AI, but it's like AI, Facebook has been using AI, I think, for actually over 10 years. And so there was this point in time where whenever you were on Facebook or Instagram, that your feed was literally in chronological order of your friends and who you were following, like, based upon how they posted, so you would have to scroll through to see, if I was interacting with you on Facebook, if you had posted days ago, I'd have to either go to your profile, see what you had posted, or I'd have to keep scrolling, scrolling, scrolling.
Right.
So what Facebook did was they implemented this AI system it now runs based upon what it is that you interact with and who you interact with. So if you're interacting with a lot of information that's based upon AI, then that AI information takes that and says, oh, Michael is actually interested in everything that has to do with AI. So we're going to put posts that have to do with AI in front of him, people that talk about AI in front of him, and his friends and family, because that's who he's engaging with. So
Mhm.
engagement on Facebook means likes, shares, comments, anything like that. So whether those are positive or negative, that again, where it comes in that like there's not a lot of critical thinking whenever it comes to AI technology, that Facebook doesn't know if you are liking this in a positive way or if you're liking it in a negative way. So what it does is it gives you more of those things from more of that person or business that you're interacting with. So basically we've gone through this trend of, where now people are like, oh my gosh, my feed is so full of ads, and and all I see is the same people. It's like, well, you are actually the one that's in control of that. You have to teach your AI to, get in front of other people. So what I suggest is go to your friends list, go to their page and like a lot of their stuff if you want them to show up on your feed. So it's kind of the same thing whenever it comes to ads. So now that we've talked about the organic side of social media, what happens is you're feeding your information into the side of the advertiser side. So what makes Facebook ads so much better? I mean, I'll just say it, they're better than any other advertising, is that it's based upon what you interact with, what it is that you're interested in. So each one of us is like filling up this bubble of demographic that Facebook has decided that, this is what we like, this is what we interact with all day long. As soon as you download Facebook or Instagram onto your phone, or if you have it on your computer, you agree to the terms that it's going to be watching everything that you do and listening to everything that you say. So even though, like that's kind of controversial where, people say, oh no, it's not listening. However, I can have a conversation with you about marketing, and then as soon as I get onto my feed on Facebook, there's a lot of ads about marketing. And so that's why another reason why I think it's funny is because there's all these advertisers that should be excluding me from their audience. Like obviously, unless you want to be in front of people that are talking about marketing all the time, you should be excluding people that are a marketing professional from your audience if you're just wanting to be in front of small business owners because you're wasting a lot of your ad spend. So
Hmm.
you have to know um, how to create these audiences on Facebook and things like that. But Facebook has been moving more towards the automation of just using their AI, where instead of creating audiences yourself, Facebook wants to create them for you based upon what your business activity is. And so that's why we have this technology where we can upload a lot of our lookalike audiences, people that we already work with. And what Facebook does is it says, okay, we have the demographics of these emails and these people that, and we're going to look at them and we're going to create a lookalike audience based upon everything that we know that they do on our platform and in their personal lives.
Right.
And so, so that's what makes it so much better. And also on top of that, it's like you have the advantage on Facebook, with their AI of the people that they're targeting. It's a lot better than Google pay-per-click because through social media, we can actually tell a story and we can actually get to that emotional side of that psychology that I was talking about because people sell people. Business does not sell people. And I talk about that all the time. And so that's why video is so essential whenever it comes to advertising versus whenever you're on Google pay-per-click, you have a lot of the same, oh, we're the best in the industry, award winning, 5 star, you can trust us. Well, that doesn't necessarily go so far anymore. So what ends up happening is people will be Googling a roofer, right? And then as soon as they get on Facebook, then bam, we hit them with a video ad of a roofer that's in their area. And now we've touched all of those different points to where they know who it is whenever they pick up the phone and give them a call. They trust them because of whatever they said in the video. And they've given themselves a little bit of a platform to say, this is who we are, this is how long we've been in business, this is the people that we work with, and we're a genuine company. Because a lot of people are, also falling for the marketing scams of, falling into traps like Angie's List, thinking that, oh, we're going with the most trusted, but their information is getting sold to 6 different roofers in the industry. And so people are not so quick to give out their information anymore to websites and things like that versus whenever they see that video on Facebook and they know whenever you get on the call, and I get calls all the time from people. Oh, I feel like I already know you because I do a lot of video advertising myself.
Hmm.
So it's like it's a great way to build trust and it's a great way to get in front of the right people and to get past those psychological barriers of are these fake reviews? Are they really an award-winning company? Am I giving my information to a company like Angie's that is going to sell my information to 6 different roofers?
Hmm. I want to go back to what you said about the critical thinking aspect of it. So I think that there's a tendency for us to think that AI will just do everything automatically, but it sounds
Yeah.
like it's a tool, but it really still
Yes.
comes back to Elizabeth or another conversion marketer to understand what the data is saying and then to
Yes.
also add the human element. What does that look like to you?
Oh, 100%. I'm really, really big on letting people know that AI is for tasks and it really does not replace people.
Mhm.
And, like I said, it's like now we're in this trend of like where there's all of a sudden a lot of AI, professionals that know everything about AI, and you're going to be able to, you're going to have AI take the place of 6 employees and, things like that. It's like, well, I can tell you right now that any video that AI creates, it does not have that personal aspect that I was just talking about, right? You can go and create a lot of AI videos that have a lot of B-roll where there's a lot of talking. However, I was on a call the other day with a very high ticket client of mine, like just to put in a little bit of like how high ticket, like their revenue goal this year is $100 million. Okay. So That's a lot of money. And, how I keep clients like that is through my admin manager, who she does all of the communication. She's the one that sets up, meetings with me and things like that. And the first thing that he said whenever we got onto our meeting was high praises for my admin manager of how great she is to work with and how, he really appreciates her personal touch. Well, if I was to go down the route of saying, oh, I'm going to replace my admin manager with AI,
Mhm.
well, she would never have gotten those praises, and I wouldn't have gotten those brownie points because I have somebody that's personally making these calls, and that's something that AI cannot. It's like, yes, AI can make calls for you, AI can do this, AI can do that, but if you're not personally monitoring it, a
Mhm.
lot of mistakes happen because AI does not have that critical thinking. And what happens is people get frustrated, they get upset, like, am I even talking to a real person? How many times have we all seen that? People want to talk to real people. They want to work with people. People sell people. Business does not sell people. So if you are, somebody that is interested in having it, I guess it comes down to this. If you're just hit it and quit it kind of business and you just want to move people through the door, then maybe AI is great for you. But if you're somebody that wants to build long lasting relationships and have a business that actually has a solid foundation of, great reviews and people having a great experience, then I would not suggest using AI for, anything that takes that personal touch. Now, going into the side of things where it comes to marketing and AI. So, whenever it comes to Facebook ads specifically, I can tell you from all of the data that I have gathered and all of the case studies that I have, ads that we use that we take, we might take ideas from ChatGPT, to say, okay, this is a good copy. Let's rewrite this ourselves to add that personal touch, right?
Right.
Those do 100% better every single time versus taking the AI copy and posting it into the ads. Because what the basically how it works is as soon as you put an ad in, even whenever you put in a post, actually, it goes through this AI system where it gets graded. The picture gets graded. That's the first thing that gets graded is the picture or the creative or the video.
Mhm.
Then the headline gets graded, and then the copy itself. So if you want to get through the very first step of being on top of all your competitors that are advertising, you better have a good creative, a good headline, and a good copy. So whenever people send me, like, oh, this is what we want, I kind of take it and reword it because I know that I'm going to get 20 more points by adding a little bit of human element to this because the AI recognizes AI. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to put this a little bit lower because you're not actually doing the work. And so that's why I just laugh a little bit whenever people are talking about, like, oh, AI is going to replace marketers and this and that. There's so much more information and there's so much skill that goes into advertising and advertising effectively that AI is like, I'm not threatened by AI at all at this point in time. Like, there's a lot of business owners that have tried to run their own ads. They do it the whole AI way. They take the AI, oh, this is what Facebook recommends. Well, you can talk to any other marketer that's in my field and they'll tell you to never do those recommendations. Like, you need to look at the data yourself and, realize, is this a good idea or is it not? And I can tell you that 100% of the time it is not.
Sure. I want to change gears and go up into even more technological advances. So I'm writing an article this month about the future of augmented reality and this notion that we may have two-dimensional social media. So obviously you excel in the two-dimensional social media space. You have been for years. Should we go into a three-dimensional reality with social media? Maybe we're even in the metaverse. How do you think that will affect the way in which the digital marketing, the conversion marketing that you're doing, how might that be affected?
So I actually think it might be even better, you know what I mean, for people to like, because I know that one thing that people want all the time is to see results,
Mhm.
right? So it doesn't matter what it is that we're talking about, whether we're talking about selling a marketing service or we're talking about selling, epoxy floors. People want to see the gallery, they want to see the results, they want to see real pictures. They don't want some, cookie cutter picture that you bought from, whatever free online photo
Right.
space that you could find stuff at. And so I think that honestly that it would kind of create a better space for professionals that are good at what they do because there, it would offer a time for people, if people were interested in doing that. I mean, it wouldn't be good for people to sell me anything, because as you know, I don't even watch TV, I don't listen to music. I'm like all about education and filling my head with new information, not necessarily filling up my time with things that are going to keep me occupied from doing the things that I should be. But I'm, probably 0.20% of the of the world. So, but I do think that it would be good for people that are, a lot of people work 9 to 5, and on their off time, that's exactly what they're looking for. And they're often looking for the person that has the most wow
Mhm.
in their marketing to hire. Even though that it does lead to problems at some point in time, but that's kind of how I look at it. But at the same time, you're still going to have a professional that that excels in getting the right content in front of the right people.
Final question, and then I'd like you to tell us where we can follow your work. Final question, since I know that this about you, what you mentioned, that you're always educating yourself. If someone wanted to, whether it be their business or if they want to even become a marketer, how can they get more up to speed? How can they stay in the know about all these things that seem to be happening so fast?
Yes, things do happen super fast. So first off, I would say you definitely need to stay educated. Like I take classes every single week, whenever it comes to my space. That I would say that's one of the things that you have to do in order to be an expert in this field is that you have to stay up to date on the changes and what's happening in social media. And a lot of business owners just don't have time for that.
Mhm.
So my honest answer is to business owners that want to do it yourself, you just really need to hire somebody because what you'll end up being is a marketer and not a business owner at that point in time. But um, I've been working on a course actually with you, Michael, which will always stay up to date for marketers, and so they could always buy that. And I do caution people about courses though, because oftentimes I feel like a lot of people that sell courses are failed marketers. That they can't make money in their own industry, and so what they do is they decide to put together a cookie cutter course that, like, oh, it's just this easy. It's like, oh well, if it's just this easy, that's why they failed at marketing.
Right.
So, but it's really hard to find trusted sources. But I would say, Facebook does offer a blueprint marketing course that people can take, but that as well is just kind of cookie cutter in the way of, like, there is no one size fits all for any business, like even if you're in the same industry, like I'm an industry exclusive marketing agency. But I do work with people that are outside of service areas, right? And so a great example of that is I'll go back to roofing. Like the roofing that we do for a roofing company in North Idaho is totally different than the roofing company that we have that's over on the coast. It's just a different demographic of people. You have to speak to them differently. They care about different things. And it really matters, like who your audience is. And these cookie cutter, oh, well, everybody owns a house. Yeah, it's true. Everybody owns a house, but the people that own a home in Idaho versus the people that own a home on the coast, they want to hear different things. And that's really what good marketing comes down to. And I say, it's a lot of education. It takes a lot of time, and you really need to know your audience, and that's what would make your marketing 100 times better.
Wonderful. So if people want to follow your work, how can they do so?
Yeah, they can find me at Maudie's Digital Marketing on Facebook and Instagram. I did recently join X as well. And my website has a lot of information as well. That's maudiesdigitalmarketing.com. That's Maudies. So that's us, and that's how you can find me and keep up to date with, all of the great things about social media marketing.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for your time today. This was very enlightening, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Michael. It was great to talk to you.
Thank you. Okay, so that concluded my interview with Elizabeth Wolfe from Maudie's Digital Marketing. And what we talked about and what really stood out to me is the concept of the new form of marketing when it comes to artificial intelligence. So I'm reminded of TV shows like Mad Men, where the creators would get together and they would use things like their hunches. And so Don Draper would talk about this idea that you're not really selling Coca-Cola, you're selling the feeling that Coca-Cola brings. And that definitely describes that old era of marketing, the era in which you might have a billboard, you might run something in a newspaper. And it's not as if that idea has entirely gone away. Obviously, there's still people that are publishing ads in magazines as well. But what I think the value of conversion marketing, of what Elizabeth is talking about, is the data. They often talk about this notion that the money is in the list right? That you can again and again go back to the same people and you can create things like drip campaigns. But what we're talking about in addition to that is really the power of big data. And so, again, if you imagine that you were putting an ad in a newspaper just a few years ago, that ad might be going into some black hole. The same thing is true when it comes to just sending out mailers. You have no idea who is actually receiving it. But to Elizabeth's point earlier, when it comes to conversion marketing, you are using very sophisticated software to create psychological profiles of the person that you want to reach. And then you're reaching them at the most opportune time, presumably using the very best creative, and you're finding ways to meet them at the moment, at the precise moment that you want to reach them. And so what's so interesting, I think, from this conversation is that at least when I was going to school, the idea that I had around marketers was that they were involved in more, let's say, squishy, qualitative fields, kind of being creatives, like when it comes to Don Draper. But the model that Elizabeth is talking about, even though it does still involve creativity, I'm not discounting that for a moment. What it also requires is these quantitative skills. So being good at math, being able to understand what the algorithm is suggesting, being able to understand things like click-through rates and impression counts, right? So it seems to me that the future of marketing, especially conversion marketing, is really using data so that we can expand our human capabilities. Now, Elizabeth mentioned, it's not as if AI is suddenly going to replace all human marketers. She's not talking about that. But what she is referencing is this idea that the marketers of the future, and that future really begins today, or actually it started a few years ago, is that they're able to use data with AI to understand their prospect, what's going to matter most to them, and finding a way to track their efforts. What I often found so frustrating about people in the PR and the marketing space, whenever they'd want to work with any of my clients, when it came to promoting books, is that they never were able to give very definitive answers. It was all very vague. We're going to help you with something like media training. We're going to get you out there, but there wasn't any results. When I think of the phrase conversion marketing, I think about results marketing. This is the future of marketing, where instead of sending your advertising budget to some black hole, instead you're able to be very scientific, very precise with what you want to achieve, and then you're able to pull it off. So that's where we're going to leave it today. I hope you found this content valuable, and maybe you'll begin using conversion marketing when it comes to achieving your own goals for your business. So thank you very much for your time and your attention today. I hope you found this valuable. Until next time, thank you so much.